So before you do anything else, up here by your name, we need to list out our squares and our cubes. My hope is, at least for the squares, that you're starting to know some of them. But if you're not, that's okay too, because you have a calculator. And so you can type in, please close the Chromebook. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you can just tap it in to the calculator to get these. But I want to just get the list started and see if you guys can keep it going. So 1 squared is 1. We're never really going to use that. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. What's next? 4 squared is 16. 25 is correct. Thank you. 6 squared is 36. Do you know 7 is close? You can use a calculator. I'm just seeing what you know. 8 squared. So it's 8 and 8. Now stick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64. All right. 9 squared. Good job. 100. I like to go to 12 though. Oh, good job. 121. They obviously keep going. Numbers are infinite and you can use a calculator. So if you need to know 13 squared, type it in. 13 squared, 14 squared, 15 squared, 16 squared. They go on forever. All right, the cubes, I'm going to just list them out for you. I don't so much expect that you know those ones like by heart yet. But when you see them, you should go, oh, those are familiar. You know what I mean? Like when you look at them, you should go, oh yeah, like that jogs my memory. So this first page is not new. This is just a review of what we've been doing so far. So for square root of 75, you're going to draw 2 little houses. I'm going to see if you can do this one without the calculator because 75 isn't too hard of a number to deal with. You need a number from this squares list. And why am I using the squares list and not the cubes list? Yeah, it's not a cube. Good job. Perfect. All right. So I need a number from this list. 25 times 3. And then the whole point of choosing 25 is that one works. What is your square root of 25? 5. So 5 square root of 3. Cool. That went well. This one, we're going to look at the cubes list. So draw your 2 little houses and you just have to put that little 3 out front. I'll remind you how we type this one in the calculator. Okay. So hold on a second. It's going to be 54 divide X, gear, table, and you need to find a number from the cubes list that's somewhere on this table. If you're in the back, I know it's kind of small, but there, do you see 27 right there? 27 and 2. So 27 and 2. And then the reason we picked 27 is it's on the list. That one actually works. And I heard somebody shouting it back there. Cube root of 27 is 3. If you didn't know that, CBRT, you can type it in the calculator. The calculator will do most of this for you. So just use your resources. All right, down here we are multiplying. That's what that little dot means. All right. What's really in front of this square root of it? It's really a 1. Oh my gosh, you guys are on fire today. So you're going to multiply the numbers outside. You're going to multiply the numbers inside. So negative 1 times 3 is just negative 3. Draw your square root, and then 8 times 5 is 40. And then you're going to do the exact same thing we did in the problem above it, except that there's a negative 3 there. I do not have a better explanation than it's just there. There's just a negative 3. It is like just there, right? Draw your 2 little houses. You need to split up 40, but one of the numbers has to be on this squares list. 4 times what gives you 40? 10. Good job. 4 times 10. And then the whole point of choosing 4 is that it's going to work. What is your square root of 4? 2. And then your last step is you just multiply these together. So negative 3 times 2 is, good job, negative 6. So do you see how that negative 3 just got written on every step the whole way along, followed us home like a lonely puppy? You just leave it there. All right. All right, last one of these review ones. This is adding. Are these like terms? Are they the same number? No, so you cannot add them together. You're going to have to simplify them like this first, all right? That 5 is just there. Like it's just there, all right? Draw your 2 little houses, and believe it or not, I don't have magical abilities that I know what this answer is. 147, I don't know what that is. I'm going to type it in the calculator. There's not like a secret. 147 divide X gear table. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know what it is. I need a number from the squares list that's somewhere. Do you see it? 49 right there? 49 times 3. But I didn't know that until I typed it in. You have to type in the calculator. All right, plus, and then we're going to do the exact same thing with this one. So 2, and then draw your 2 square roots, and we're going to do the exact same thing with 48. So let me type in 48 divide X gear table. Now I will tell you 4 is going to be on this list, but there is one that's bigger and you want the largest one. 16 right there and 3. Good job. Perfect. This goes so nice when you guys listen. Perfect. All right. And then you're going to reduce them. What's your square root of 49? Close. 7. Good. Did you know that? Good job. Plus, all right, what's your square root of 16? 4. You're picking numbers that aren't dead ends. Like you're picking ones that are going to work. And then you multiply these together. So 5 times, does anyone know 5 times 7? If not, you'd put it in a calculator. It's 35. I just don't like to keep switching back and forth between the calculator screen and this one. But if you don't know that, that's totally fine. Type it in. All right, plus 2 times 4 is 8. And oh my gosh, do you guys see how they're the same now? Wow. Crazy. Now you can add them together. 35 plus 8. 43 square root of 3. Do you see how this is square root of 3 and that's square root of 3? So your answer is square root of 3. The most common mistake is people change that. Don't change it. It's the same. Okay. All right. That went really, really well. Let's keep it up. We'll do a little bit more and then I'll give you your halfway break. Yeah. So what we're going to move forward to look at, everything on the first page was review. So what we're going to move forward to look at is if you have a fraction exponent, you're going to see this word rational. The root word of rational is ratio, and ratio is just a fancy word for fraction. So when you see rational, that means ratio, that means fraction. It's a fancy word for fraction. So you're going to have a fraction exponent is what this is going to be. So this I stands for index. That's going to be the little number that's outside. This is your index. So when you have a cube root, that little 3 that's outside, we call that the index. What is it when it's a square root? Because we don't put anything there. It's a 2. It's understood that it's a 2 is your index. And then E stands for exponent. And that's what's going to go right here. As long as you remember the index goes outside, you're going to be okay. Hold on one second. Let me finish this thought here. And so when you write it as a fraction, it's going to be the exponent over the index. The index becomes the denominator of your fraction. We are only going to do 1/2 and 1/3. A 1/2 is a square root. A 1/3 is a cube root. Actually, let's write that down. 1/2 is square root. 1/3 is cube root. Now, I had 2 questions, so I'm going to answer them in order. Go ahead. Didn't you have a question? Okay, go ahead. Yes. All right, so down here, for example, square root of 9, you can also write that as 9 to the power 1/2, and your square root of 9 is 3. Okay, cube root of 8, you can write that as 8 to the 1/3, your cube root of 8 is 2. So we're going to practice just simplifying these. So look at this one. What type of root is this? Square root. So it would be 9 to the power 1/2. X is going to be 2. So this is 2 to the power 1/2. So that means square root of 2. That would be square root of 2. Good. Do you see how that little x is right there? If it's to the 1/3 power, it would be a cube root. So that index is going to be 3. And same thing with this one. All you have to know, yes, all you have to know is 1/2 is square root and 1/3 is cube root. That's really it. That's kind of the whole lesson. All right. Now you have to understand difference with parentheses. Do you see how on this one, the 1/2 is only with the x? Yeah, okay. So it's 36 square root of x. For this one, do you see how the 1/2 is with the whole thing because it has a parentheses? Like the 1/2 is with the whole thing. So it would be the square root of all of it. It's a subtle difference, but do you see how this one's only the x and this one's the whole thing? Hugs are important. These directions should have landed on the next page. We'll just do a couple of these and then I'll give you your halfway break because you guys are, we'll do this like first section. Shh. Nurture yourself. And actually, we're not going to do this one because that has a cubed in it and you don't need to know that part. So we're not going to do that one. That one that has the cubed in it, you don't need to know that. So we're not going to worry about that one. All right. So this one, do you see how it's a square root? That means 1/2 power. It's 25 to the 1/2 power. That's all you really have to understand. Square root means your power is a half. And what is your square root of 25? 5. All right. Square root of 5. That would be 5 to the 1/2. That's really it. That's all you have to know. Now, can we square root 5? No. So just don't put anything there. Or you could put NA. We can't simplify that. It says simplify if possible. So if you can't, then fine. What do you guys think about this one?
6 to the...
Yeah. 36 to the 1/2. That's all that is. Now you can do that one. What's your square root of 36? 6. Good job. Now this one's a cube root, so it's going to be 27 to the power 1/3. And then do you know cube root of 27? You actually can do that one. It's 3. All right, next one. 11 to the 1/2 power means square root of 11. Now, can you reduce square root of 11? No, so you can just put nothing or NA, like that one just doesn't work. It means not applicable, yeah.
What does that one mean?
It means like, it's kind of like the no solution version of getting an answer. All right, cube root of 64, that means 64 to the power 1/3. Again, all you need to know is cube root means a third power and square root means a half power. That's really all this lesson is, right? Now you can do that one. Cube root of 64 is, it's 4. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I don't really expect you to know those, but how could you type that in the calculator? CBRT 64. I don't really expect you have it memorized, but I expect you could type it in the calculator. All right, 64 to the 1/2. That means square root of 64, and that is 8. Square root and cube root are different. Good. 8 to the 1/3 means cube root of 8. And your cube root of 8 is 2. You could type that in. Can you guys please be quiet? Don't talk over me. It's 3 zeros. Not
That's
that.
a lot.
The point is, what does this 1/3 mean? Cube root of negative 1,000, which I'll go ahead and tell you is negative 10. What that means is, in case no one ever sat you down and explained this to you, 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000 because there's 3 zeros. All right. Now, do you see how this one has a cube root and a cube? Here's how you would write that. 729 to the 1/3, and then that whole thing cubed. What happens is the cubed and the cube roots cancel out. They undo each other. It's like doing a +7 and a -7. So it's just 729. They cancel out is what happened there. Thank you for coming with me on that. Now these two, we're going to have to work backwards. Draw your 2 little houses because we're going to have to actually figure this out. 3 is like kind of just there. Now, when you're going backwards, instead of doing a square root, you are going to square. So what is 4 squared? That's what we're trying to do is 16. And then 16 times 3 I'll just throw that out there and see what I get. Does anyone know that? 16 times 3? I heard somebody say it, 48. Estimation is an important skill though, so if you were close, that's still good. And then since it's a square root, that means 1/2. We're going to do the exact same thing with this one, except it's cube root. So draw your two little cube root houses. We're going backwards. The 6 is kind of just there. Instead of cube root, you have to take the 5 and cube it. Oh, sorry, that should be a 3. 5 cubed is 125. 5 times 5 times 5. Now you have to multiply 125 times 6. I don't actually know that, but here, do you want to estimate? Really close. 750. And then how would you write it here? It would be 750 what? To the 1/3. Good job. So for this one, do you see how it's squared? And then there's a 1/2. So they cancel. It would just be 25. And if you want to write it, as the square root, it would look like this. It would be square root of 25 squared. But the squared and the square root undo each other. They're inverses. They cancel out. This one is the same thing. Do you see how there's a cubed and then a 1/3? So it's just 2. And if you want to write it over here, it's cube root of 2 cubed. So the cubed and the cube root cancel. Now on the back, may not do every single one of these because they're kind of a lot. And you can just use the calculator, but maybe we'll just pick a couple of them. All right, so looking at this first one, it says select all that are equivalent. Now I'm going to have us work this out a little bit, but please listen to me because this is the type of question no one should miss. What you can do is type square root of 108 in the calculator and you're going to get some weird decimal. And then you can type all of these one at a time and see if it comes out to the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a tiny bit time consuming, but you will get the right answer. But I want us to actually work out the problem. So let's draw two little houses. I'm going to share my screen. Please focus. I'm going to do 108 divided by x. And then what? How do I get my gear table? Can you guys look through and find a number from the squares list that's on here? I see it. 36. Do you see that? 36 and 3. Okay. So 36 and 3. Before we even go any further, do you see that somewhere in here? Yeah, which one? This one? This one? Do you see how this is the same thing though? Are you looking at where I'm pointing? You're gonna have to pay attention. Do you see how that's the same thing? Yeah, it's the same thing. Means the exact same thing. And then what is your square root of 36? Because we can reduce that one. That's 6. So 6 square root of 3. Do you see that somewhere on there? Yeah, top right. Okay. Now, before I go to the calculator, do you see any that you know it's not? Like, I know it's not that answer.
The one that has a function of 6.
Well, I'll probably type those in the calculator. But what is 6 times 3? 18. Like, it's not that. 36 times 3 is not going to be that. Oh, these were supposed to be fractions here and they didn't print correctly. So just forget about that one. How about this? 3 square root of 6. No, it's not going to be that one. Now, can you watch? I don't want anyone to miss a question like this because it's brain optional. You can just type it in the calculator. Are you all looking? Shh. You look up here? Because I don't have a better explanation than, hey, look. Do you see how I typed in square root of 108 and it came out to 10.39, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's one that we didn't do yet? Square root 36 times 3 square root 3. Did it come out to the same thing? No. So it's not that one. You can just type them one at a time and check it. So here, let me share my screen again. What's another one we didn't do yet? Square root of 36 times 3. Did that come out to the same thing? No, scratch it out. What's another one we didn't do yet? Square root of 6 times 6 times 3. Oh, looky at that. Do you see how that came out to the same thing? Whoa. All right, so we want that one. And then let me type this one. The last one that we didn't check yet. So it's square root of 6 times square root of 6 times square root of 3. Did that come out to the same thing? Yep, so we want that one. Let's do the last one. Let's do number 5. I'm not going to do all of them because you can just type them in the calculator. All right, so let's look at this last one here. Can you pay attention because it's all going to happen in the calculator? Are you looking? All right, so I'm going to type that problem. 10 square root of 5 plus square root of 20. I don't know. This printed wacky. I'm sorry. But do you see how it came out to 26.8? We're just checking if the other ones came out to 26.8. So let's try that first one. 10 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 5. Did that come out to the same thing? Circle it. I'm not going to keep switching back and forth between my calculator and my paper. So you're all going to have to listen. All right, what's that next one? 10 square root of 100. I have a feeling it's not that. Yeah, so not that one. 11 square root of 25. Nope. 12 square root of 5. Yes. I don't know. This printed really weird. All right, 10 square root of 5 plus square root of 4 times 5. Did that come out the same? Yep. All right, this one. 10 square root of 5 plus square root of 5 plus square root of 4. Did that come out to the same? No, we don't want that one. Almost there. 10 square root of 5 plus 2. No. And then the last one has parentheses there. Parentheses, 10 plus 2, close parentheses, square root of 5. Yes. So do you see how you can get the right answer without even really doing any work? No one should miss a question like that, okay?